And now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
All right, you guys, we had a lot to talk about. First off, on Unsanctioned Thursday, we have a guest. I'll let you know who that is a little bit later in the show. But we're going back to our indie spotlight, so we're going to get to put some shine on a wrestler in the independents. I don't know how long he's going to remain in the independents because he's pretty damn good, so we'll see. And you'll see who I'm talking about later in the show. We also have lots of WWE stuff to talk about. Drew McIntyre's first promo as he came back. AJ versus Gunther. Lots of crazy shit going down. We're going to get into it all, and we're going to start with Monday Night Raw in Dusseldorf, Germany. Dusseldorf. I think this was the first time they ever did a TV there. They probably did like a house show or something at some point. This was an early time on Netflix. It's weird watching wrestling early. I maybe it's not, because back in the day it was like 3 o'clock, right, to watch WrestleMania, like back in the 80s. I think it started like in the mid-afternoon. So maybe it's just me, but it felt weird watching it during the daytime. I like it when the sun's down, watching my wrestling at night. But the show opens. We got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky celebrating. The crowd loves them. We love them. You love them. Everybody loves them. The Kabuki Warriors also declared they would come out and get them. Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez interrupted and said, no, first dibs. We got crazy-ass Bayley, or soon-to-be crazy-ass Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. They're all going to fight for this belt. They all want the belt because two studs have it right now in Ripley and Sky. They cleared the ring, beat everybody's ass, threw them out, and they looked fantastic. Now, moving on to the match that actually mattered tonight. Gunther versus AJ Styles. This was awesome. Awesome. Especially the finish, or the false finish to the finish. But this story's been all about respect and Gunther's lack of it in dealing with John Cena and dealing with all these legends. A little reminiscent of like when they called Randy Orton the Legend Killer, and he was like beating up all the old dudes and kicking them in the friggin' head, and they were really trying to make him a heel. Only this is with like the living legends, not the living legends, the active legends is the more accurate term. The John Cena's, the AJ Styles. Who's going to be next? Could it be a Randy Orton? I don't know. But Gunther's turned into a real son of a gun. They had this match. He got punked the week before and just got the shit slapped out of him by AJ Styles, and he didn't do anything. He freaking didn't do anything. He just took it like a punk. And that's he went head to head with him, right? Like forehead to forehead, but still, like, you got punked, man. That was like Chris Rock getting punked. Like if somebody slaps you, you can't, what was it Charlie Murphy said? You don't slap another man. That's from the Chappelle Show. Like you can't, and then he followed it with, back then somebody had to die. They'd challenge you to a duel. Like that's how bad getting slapped is. So Gunther had to get his revenge. He had to get this win, but it was how he did it. I've trained jiu-jitsu for a long time, and like wrestling, grappling, mixed martial arts, all that stuff. My godfather was Bob Wall. You can Google him if you want to know more about him, but he brought the Machados up to Southern California, him and Chuck Norris back in the 80s, because the Machados tapped him out like a million times, and he was a pretty tough guy. I was like, how did you guys do this? And they're like, it's jiu-jitsu. So anyway, this is a long story, but you'll see where I'm going in a minute. So jiu-jitsu became really popular in the 90s. And now more popular than ever, especially with 40-year-old divorced dads. That's pretty much the majority of my group classes when I still go. And everybody's on like peptides and testosterone, so they all look like they're 22 except me. I'm out there like, Jesus Christ, guys, give me a break. So anyway, there's a term that American jiu-jitsu guys came up with when they would lose to Brazilian fighters. And it was called the Brazilian tap. And what it was, and this is dirty on both sides. One, if it's true, it's dirty on the Brazilian fighter side. And if it's not true, it's just Americans bitching about things they think are happening that maybe aren't. But I happen to think this is true. So they would call it the Brazilian tap, where if you, let's say you have your opponent, the Brazilian opponent, let's say I'm grappling someone, whoever, Royce Gracie, right? You can Google him too for young people that don't know who that is. He's pretty cool too. So I'm grappling Hoist Gracie, and I get him in a triangle, right? Oh my God, they got him in a triangle choke. A triangle choke is where he's kind of like between your legs. Sounds weird, but it's not. And you have an arm in between, and that arm is cutting off the circulation to his brain, and it's slowly choking him out, right? Well, he knows that he's going to get choked out because your boy Freddie's got a sweet triangle choke. But he also knows where the referee is, and the referee is on my right side. So with his right hand, right, because he would be in my triangle choke, the hand that's blind to the referee, the ref can see Hoist's left hand, but he can't see his right hand. Hoist taps. You got me, kid. You got me. And I let go of the triangle choke. Yeah, that's right. I just tapped out Hoist Gracie. I'm the UFC champion. But the ref didn't see it. So the ref says, yo, B, fight on. And I'm like, what? No, he tapped, man. Tell him you tapped. And he's like, nah, dog, I didn't tap. And all of a sudden, the ref's like, yo, you better fight on. And I'm pissed and I'm out of sorts. And he takes me down and he gets the rear naked choke. That sounds weird too, but it's not. And boom, I'm choked out. Oh, God, no, I'm choked out. I lost. How could you do that to me? That's what happened to AJ Styles. And it sucks for AJ, right? Storyline wise, within the context of the characters. But in looking at it from an analytical perspective, not analytical, but just analyzing it, I guess, you see how cool it is, because that's something that people have actually done in grappling tournaments. I'm sure Americans have done it. I'm sure French fighters have done it. I'm sure all kinds of fighters from all over the world. But that was like how the phrase was initially coined, was the Brazilian tap. So Gunther got him with it, and AJ got. He got punched in the nuts, or kicked in the nuts, or punched in the balls rather, and then power bombed and defeated. And so now he has a legit excuse for a rematch because the dude tapped. The ref blew it. Bad refereeing. Bad refereeing, sir. I'm a ref narc. You just got narked. You should always be in a position to see both hands. Always. It's impossible, but I feel you, dude. Anyway, Gunther's kind of evolving. There's a lot more cunning, and it's not just I'm going to destroy you with dominance, but I can outthink you too, which kind of puts another wrinkle in his game. And another tool in the belt, so to speak. And now AJ has serious motivation to go and fight this dude. So I loved what they did here. They told a story more effectively in the ring than they did out of the ring. They told the story that they wanted you to see, that Gunther was going to be a punk ass, better in the ring than they did in the segment building up to the match, which is how it should always be. The match should always be the diamond, right? And the promos are the setting, that the ring, right? Look, think of these like storylines as a ring, a wedding ring that you're getting your girl. The final match is the diamond, right? And all the shit you did to set up the match, that's the ring. That's the setting, so to speak. And I thought they did a great job with it. So anyway, we're moving on. CM Punk and Finn Balor, this was the biggest letdown. It was supposed to be, but this was the biggest letdown because you had CM Punk out there. You brought out another European fighter, and Germany was loving the Europeans. Europe's going to pull for the Euros over the Americans, no doubt. And Finn Balor comes out, confronts him, and he's like, yo, man, you forgot about Dre. And he went out there and cut his promo, and CM Punk's like, all right, dude, well, the champ's here. The champ's ready. Let's friggin' go. And Finn Balor, who's the one who went out there and called him out, did the old, yeah, I'll see you, but I'll see you next week in my hometown of Ireland. And the whole crowd's like, what? Did we just get hosed on a sweet-ass match? And CM Punk's even like on the mic going, yo, did you just hose everybody on a sweet-ass match? And Finn Balor basically says yes. But at least now they get a cool match in Ireland tonight. We record these on Mondays. They release on Wednesdays, so you'll have already seen the match. You'll know how it ended, but it should be pretty sweet. The news, the biggest news story in the WWE this week, Braun Breaker suspended indefinitely by Adam Pearce. And I got to say, I'm with Braun. I stand with Mr. Breaker. Adam Pearce, well, let's set this up. Let's set this up first. Okay, so Penta and Dragon Lee versus Austin Theory and Bronson Reed representing the Vision. And it ended in a disqualification when Braun Breaker, can't say that 5 times fast, when Braun Breaker stormed in and he spears both Dragon Lee and Penta, right? Penta takes a great spear, by the way. Dolph Ziggler takes the best spear in the world, but Penta takes a pretty sweet spear. There's all kinds of craziness. Adam Pearce comes out. It gets physical. It gets heated. Should have said heated, then physical. And Adam Pearce has had enough, and he suspends Breakker indefinitely. Paul Heyman chirps in there because he's the master, right? He goes, let me just slow everything down for a second, because technically you touched Braun Breakker first. He's very slow and deliberate with his backstage promos and his in-ring promos, which he did. He did. You can't put your hands on WWE talent. They fired, what's his face from American Gladiators, the little guy, Mike Adamle. They fired Mike Adamle when he slapped the shit out of Randy Orton. Boom. Fired, you're gone. Now, this wasn't a slap, but he put his hands on him. So Paul Heyman can be like, hey, man, look, don't forget what happened to Mike Adamle. You could be gone, too, unless you bring Braun Breakker back. Say that 5 times fast. Bring Braun Breakker back. You're going to say Brack, I guarantee you. You guys remember Brack from Space Ghost Coast to Coast on Cartoon Network back in the day? That was the shit. Anyway. Oh, Side Quest. If any of you remember that Space Ghost Coast to Coast show, you can YouTube my name and Highway 40. And it's legit me and that alien Brack. The dude's name was Andy. He was a cool dude. And we sang this song that he wrote and made up. It's stupid and ridiculous, but it'll make you laugh. So just Google that Highway 40, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Brack, and it'll come up for sure. All right, moving on. You guys are like, what? I'm not gonna YouTube that. YouTube it, man. It's funny. I'm telling you. I shrink and I get into this little miniature truck and we sing a song and we sing like little girls and monsters and all kinds of stuff. It's fantastic. Your kids might go to sleep to it. You never know, and have nightmares. Here we go. Moving on. WWE SmackDown, the OVO Arena in Wembley, London. Why don't you just call it the OVO? Or maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, here's what happened. The bagpipes. Anyway, all these bagpipe dudes came out and they were all blowing into the bags and pushing the air out and hitting all the notes. And it sounded fantastic. And Drew McIntyre came out to an entire arena screaming and shouting. And he goes in the ring and he cuts this wonderful promo where he talks about being a British world champion. Normally you wouldn't do that if you're Scottish. You'd say I'm the first Scottish world champion. But it really makes the crowd just love him even more, acknowledging that, right? And they're like, yeah, he's one of us, one of us, one of us. So he goes in there and then he flips it on everybody. And he says, nope, fuck y'all. You guys weren't with me when I got screwed over. You guys weren't with me when I got screwed over the second time, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Every time where were you? Where were you? You were nowhere. I'm thanking no one but myself. This is all about me. And let me tell you something else, Cody Rhodes. You think you're going to get an immediate rematch? Wrong. That's more Charlie Murphy for you. He goes, because, you're an American, and I know most Americans can't even read. So in the contract, there's a no rematch clause. So you're out, bitch. You're in the back of the line. You got to come all the way back from the bottom to the top if you want another shot at this. And even if you get a shot, your ass is grass. So this is wonderful, by the way. The audience is with him and against him. Like some of them are going to love him no matter what, but he did flip a good amount of them. So they're giving him some hate, which was fantastic. So no shot for him. Then Randy Orton interrupts him and he calls his shot. He's like, look, dude. You saw what I did to The Miz. You saw what I'll do to Trick Williams. If that dude comes at me, I'm the man. I'm bigger than your ass, and I want that championship. Jacob Fatu, he's back. We know he's back. He interrupts now. He runs into the segment. And I know you're saying, Freddie, there's a lot of run-ins. The segment works beautifully. He comes in, and Drew wants nothing to do with Jacob. He saw him in the steel cage, and even though Jacob allowed him to win the steel cage match, he knows Jacob hates him. So he runs away. He gets the hell out of there. And then The Miz comes out sneaky. He's been taking a whooping lately, and he hits Randy with a skull-crushing finale. And then they have a match which didn't matter because Randy beat his ass anyway, and he moved on. We'll get into that in a second. But anyway, Cody now has to use the Royal Rumble, which he talks about in his promo later in the show, as his vehicle to get back there. I don't think he's winning it 3 times in a row. You guys already know who my pick is, but we'll reiterate who I said it was later in the show. Fatu, who the hell knows, bro? Like, if he's healthy and they believe he's going to stay healthy, you could see him winning the belt really, really quick. Not at the Royal Rumble. Something will happen that he'll get screwed and he won't get it then. They're not going to take it off Drew right away. They can't do that to him again. Or I guess maybe they could. I mean, that's been his story, is he's constantly getting hosed, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then Fatu will have to, overcome more adversity to eventually become champ. But I could see him winning. I just can't see him winning at the Rumble. Anyway, we were talking about Randy Orton and The Miz. He got the cheap shot on him, but doesn't matter because he still hit the RKO, the 3 most dangerous letters in all of professional wrestling. I hate when they say sports entertainment. Just say professional wrestling. We get one of the veterans. They get to anchor that sort of fatal 4-way that they're going to have to see who the number 1 contender is on Saturday night's main event. I got to make sure to watch that. Sometimes I have game nights on Saturday nights. That's not good. Next on, Trick Williams defeating Matt Cardona. Jeff and I disagreed on the direction the company saw Cardona. He saw him as a world champ. I saw him as like a U.S. champ, Intercontinental champ. Look who was right. Look who was right. Because who beat Matt? Trick Williams. Matt doesn't get to go to the fatal 4-way. He's going to have to focus and build himself up on the mid-card, and then if that works, then get that push. But your boy was right. Oh, I thought I sucked at booking. I thought I sucked. You do suck, Freddie. Whatever. Anyway, I was right this time. Moving on. It was a good match, by the way. Quick, but good. Damian Priest versus Solo Sikoa. This is also the qualifier to get into the fatal 4-way. The MFT had all their guys out there, so they're like 1,800 people deep. The Wyatt Six jumped out. I wish they'd do something more with the Six, man. I don't know. I never talk about them, and I want to, but they just don't ever have a real story to talk about. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, they came out. They evened the odds, and Damian Priest gets the win over Solo Sikoa. Now, your boy, Sami Zayn, took on Ilya Dragunov. They seem to be pretty behind, but in this case, he was there to do work and put Sami over, and Sami went over big. It gives him some big-time emotion, mainly because he gets attacked after the match by Trick Williams, and now they can meet up in Montreal, which puts a little personal story up in there. So the crowd will be super behind him. They'll really hate Trick, so that's super, super smartly done. And we get a match with them too, which is going to be cool. Who's going to win the Fatal 4-Way? Oh, man, that's going to be tough. I don't think it'll be Sami. I think Sami's my pick for the Royal Rumble. And this only helps push that story forward if he loses this match. And whether he's pinned or not, I don't think it matters. But I don't think he'll be the one that gets pinned. Probably, I'm going to go Randy. And then Randy versus Drew, and Drew gets the win at the Rumble, maybe? That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu. We've got the match, and it is officially headed to Saturday night's main event. Rhodes cut a promo early in the show where he said, hey, I'm going to the Royal Rumble. You want to no rematch me? Fine, punk. I'll see you soon. He tells Fatu, and yo, dude, you cost me my title. You got a receipt coming your way. I don't care when, I don't care how, but it could be right now. Fatu comes out later, and he says, oh, you wanted some smoke? Come get some smoke. And Cody's like, yep, cool. Boom. He comes out. They get to smoke. They start fighting. They have to get broken up. And then Nick Aldis, the superior general manager to Adam Pearce by far. Nick Aldis wasn't having none of it. He sets the match up for Saturday night's main event. It gives Cody something to do, for sure, in this brief period of time. But Cody doesn't have to have the belt for the next 10 years for the company to grow. So I don't think his destiny is gold just yet. So I think these stories are good for him, and it's constant roadblocks in his way. And that can buy them some time. So I think it helps. Back to the United States of America. In the Southwest, one of the four corner states. Just west of New Mexico, we're going to Arizona. The Arizona Financial Theater. This was a great venue. It looked awesome. I love seeing wrestling in a theater, a theatrical atmosphere like that, where the audience is only on one side of the ring, basically, and you're presenting yourself as artists. Because I always feel like professional wrestling doesn't get the credit it deserves for the art they create. A lot of people are like, oh, it's professional wrestling. And it's like, you don't say that in a Jackie Chan movie. You go, oh, another fight scene. You go, oh, no, it's a cool fight. And you care about the fight because you care about Jackie, because you care about the story he's in. Same thing with professional wrestling. And some of you are like, yo, man, we're talking AEW. Forget the story, man. I just like sick matches. I'm with you. Once I've seen the Jackie Chan movie once, I fast forward the stories. I know the exact minute marks where the fight scenes are, and I go right to the sick fights too. It's one of the reasons I love professional wrestling. It's just the fight scenes for movies with sick choreography most of the time. Sometimes you get some misses in there. But it's friggin' live, man. Give them a break. You don't have to call it out every time. All right, so here we go. We're at the Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix, Arizona. This was live on TBS and HBO Max. Or is it just called Max? It should be called HBO, man. HBO is cooler than Cinemax. Unless you were like into like the softcore stuff, then it was called Skinemax, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. They had a show called The Red Shoe Diaries. My mom came in. She's like, what are you doing watching this? And I switched the channel. Like, I'm watching Star Wars on HBO, Mom. Busted. Anyway. Oh, to be 13, 14 years old. I don't know how old I was when we had Skinemax, but it was the best. Anyway. Everybody hates MJF, and everybody's after MJF. Samoa Joe's trying to deal with Hangman Page. Called him a fool. It's tough getting called a fool, man. You got to beat that guy's ass. That should slow Hangman Page down a little bit so that MJF can have focus on a singular opponent. But I love what they're doing right now. Samoa Joe said, I put a bounty on you. You know what that means. Brian Keith's coming. You know what that means. They're going to have Adam Page versus Brian Keith. You know what that means. Adam Page is going to beat that ass. Next. Darby Allin versus Pac. Match of the week? I don't know, man. These dudes fought everywhere. Match of the week? Maybe. They fought all over the theater. I almost said arena, but they fought all over the theater. The referee got beat down through no fault of his own. This wasn't ref narking. You know, he's a victim in this case. While he was hurt, Darby Allin decided to put a chair around the injured ankle of Pac and do a coffin drop on it. That was awesome, by the way. That looked so cool. And he's screaming. Wheeler Yuta came in to try to screw it up, but that backfired. You know, some people are saying, you know, oh, Darby could go heel. And this isn't heel stuff. You got to remember what this group did to him. This is revenge. And it's revenge over morality right now. There's some motive. There's some story. Because a lot of shit's happened in 5 years. Now they can tell these stories. Whether they're trying to or not, the stories are going to be there. I know some AEW people are like, man, fuck a story. We're just telling, you know, awesome matches in there. You're doing both, whether you like it or not now, because you guys have been around and there's history between these wrestlers and they don't like each other. The characters, I'm sure they dig each other in real life. But it's awesome and it makes the matches more compelling. It gives you more of a reason why. So I love it. All right. Moving on. Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Swerve Strickland. 3 paths to one man, and that man is MJF. They're all after him. I love this. He's a marked man by 3 people that are loved equally by all the fans of AEW. So it's hard to even pick a favorite. You want all of them to wrestle, right? You want a fatal 4-way is what you want, but I don't think we're going to get that. Not yet anyway. And a fatal 4-way protects the champ, even though the story is, no, anybody could lose. It protects the champ because anybody can lose, and he can be the one that pins them. We have a 3-lane contender. Adam Page is on a righteous mission. Swerve's trying to get his supremacy vow intact and take over AEW. And Kenny Omega's like, yo, man, I know I'm getting older, but I can still be the man. I know how things ended the last time we wrestled. You got me, but I'm better than you, and I know I can beat you. They all have a different reason to get there. One wants to prove he's still got it. The other one is Adam Page, and he feels like he should simply be the face of the franchise. And Swerve is all about supremacy, right? That's his thing. I'm gonna rule this, but in a benevolent dictator sort of way. We got Kenny Omega versus Josh Alexander. We know who's winning that match, unless there's shenanigans. But even if there's shenanigans, it's because they knew they were going to lose. So let's get to the main event. MJF versus Bandito. MJF came out looking dope, had a cool armband on. You guys should look at that. He taps out Bandito. A technical submission because Bandito didn't tap. He just went out. But he retained the AEW World Championship. Bandito took him to the limit. This match was awesome. They beat the crap out of each other. They were talking back and forth. The crowd was into it the whole time. They were exhausted at the end of the match. And I thought this was so slick. And MJF sits there and the crowd's screaming and booing and cheering and jeering. And he grabs a microphone. I guess, maybe the ref, he's like, give me a mic. And the ref's bringing him a mic. And he gets the microphone and he's like, hey, man, I didn't believe in you, Bandito. I didn't think you were the man. I thought, you were just another wrestler. And I beat the best luchadors. I'm the king of the luchadors. I'm MJF. But I was wrong. You're pretty tough. You took me to the limit. I never thought you'd be a champion, but now I know that one day you will be. Which sucks, because now I have to do this. And he takes the belt and he attacks the injured shoulder of Bandito with it. Blam! Hits him with the belt. And he's going to beat him some more and injure him and make sure he never wears the championship until Brody King runs out there and MJF's like, yo, that guy's huge and has tattoos everywhere, and he gets the hell out. Love this match. Good, clean win for MJF, even though he's the bad guy. As clean as a bad guy can win it. Still gets some bad guy heat after the match, so we still hate him. We don't go, yeah, MJF. No, we go, no, why, MJF, why? But we could get MJF versus Brody King, right? Get a little payback for your bro, and it keeps the other guys away from him. It keeps MJF busy. We can get another MJF match before a pay-per-view, which would be cool. But the real match is, of those three, who's it going to be? Or do we get the final four-way match? Is it going to be MJF versus Swerve versus Hangman or versus Omega? It's got to be Omega first. I believe it's Omega first because he cut the first promo on him. And then maybe we get to a fatal four-way, or maybe we just spread them all out and get all three, and MJF runs through all three dudes. Wouldn't that be something? All right, you guys. That was the week in wrestling. Pro wrestling continues to stay fun to talk about because you guys keep coming back and listening. I love this as an art form. I'm going to keep doing this show forever. And let's talk about tomorrow's show, because Unsanctioned Thursday, we're bringing back the Indie Talent Spotlight with our first guest of 2026 here in late January, mid-January. We've got Nick Nolan from Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Wrestling. We're going to get into his history, his present, and his future. Thank you guys for tuning in. On behalf of my podcast partner, Jeff Dye, who couldn't be with us today, he'll be back next week. I'm Freddie Prinze. On behalf of Alex as well, we say thank you and peace.